Hi everyone, welcome to Aussizz Conclave 4.0. We hope that you are excited to know all about student visa and genuine student requirements. Now ready to meet our experts who will guide you through our session today. Ms. Simplepreet Kaur, she is the director of Footscray branch, a registered migration agent. Secondly, I would like to talk about Ms. Aayushi as the current director of education Victoria at Aussizz Group. Relax and enjoy the session. You are in good hands. I would like to call upon Ms. Simplepreet Kaur.
Thank you, Advait. Thank you for handing over to me. And thank you, everybody. Thank you for joining today. I am Simplepreet Kaur, a registered migration agent, and I'll be talking about the overview of the Australian student visa, introduction to the GSR, new policies and recent changes, impact of these policies, and I'll give you a few tips in the end of the session. And apart from it, the GSR criteria in detail will be discussed by my colleague Aayushi. So let's get started. What is a student visa? A student visa is basically a visa which allows international students to study in Australia full-time with a recognized institution. And it definitely has some key requirements. So what are those key requirements? First of all, the basic requirement is to have a COE, which means you must be studying a registered course in order to apply for a student visa. And when you have got the student visa granted, you must be enrolled in this registered course. Apart from this, you are required to meet the English language proficiency requirements as well, which means you are required to have IELTS or PTE or TOEFL or such sort of the English score in order to apply for the visa for the Department of Home Affairs. Sometimes some schools have their own prerequisites for some of the courses, so you sometimes you might have to meet those kind of criteria as well. But apart from that, some of the countries of passport might not like you might be exempted for the English score for those countries of passport, and you might not be required for the English score as well on the level of the institution you are going for. Apart from that, you are required to have the financial capacity, which means you must have the sufficient funds and the genuine access of the funds in order to afford your stay in Australia, your study in Australia, and also you're required to have sufficient funds to arrange your travel. And these funds can be provided by your parents or any immediate family members in your home country. You are also required to have health insurance, which is overseas student health cover. You are required to maintain it till the entire duration of your visa application. So this health insurance is basically a different one from overseas visitor health cover. So you are required to buy this health insurance in advance for the entire duration of the student visa. And you are required to undergo the health examination as well after you have submitted the student visa application, and you may be asked for the police checks from the Department of Home Affairs for the student visa application. And the most important criteria, GSR criteria. So let's talk about the GSR criteria in brief, and then Aayushi will be taking over to discuss the GSR criteria in detail in the end of this session. So what is a GSR criteria? GSR means genuine student requirements criteria. So this is basically a new name of this particular criteria. This criteria was previously known as the GTE criteria, which means genuine temporary entrant criteria you had to meet for the student visa application. So now what is this criteria about? The students have to justify that these students are genuine temporary entrants for the student visa application. They are just coming to Australia for the purpose of the study. They'll complete their studies, and after that they'll be going back to your their home country. So you will also have to justify that why Australia? Why did you choose Australia as the study destination country? Why did you choose particular course? Why did you choose particular institution? And you will also have to justify that how did this particular course is going to be aligning with your future goals or the career goals. And you'll also have to show the return incentives to your home country, which may include your financial ties to your home country, your economic ties, your family ties, and these return incentives may include your future employment in your home country, or it may include the business opportunities you will have after the completion of your study in Australia. Australia. Now, guys, it is very important that you will have to justify this criteria strongly, in a strong manner, to the Department of Home Affairs when you're applying for the student visa applications, because when you see most of the refusals are on the basis of this particular criteria. So you must be, aware that it is the most important criteria in order to get a positive outcome of the student visa. Okay, so let's talk about the new policies and the recent changes which have lately been implemented by the Department of Home Affairs. We have already talked about the GT to GSR criteria. GT was the previous name. Now the name of this criteria has been changed, which is GSR criteria. I would like to add on here that the applicants might get interview calls under this particular criteria from the Department of Home Affairs. And we have seen, even if the applicant has applied for an onshore student visa extension, some of the applicants experienced, interview calls from the Department of Home Affairs, and you might get these calls about the, your course details. So which means you must be aware of the course which you are pursuing. You must be aware of all the details, that what is the exact name of your course, what are the subjects you are studying, what is the fee structure and stuff like that. The next change is the most drastic change which has lately taken place. Immigration has introduced a legislative instrument which will prevent the visitor visa holders and the 485 visa holders to apply for the student visa applications after 1st of July. Which means basically this measure has been taken by the Department of Home Affairs in order to end the visa hopping. So some applicants who have been staying in Australia for a very long time, and they have, they keep on applying for different visas in order to prolong their stay here in Australia. So that is why immigration has taken this measure in order to cut the numbers, and immigration is trying to push the skilled applicants, or the students to get skilled work experience in order to contribute the skilled migration. So here I would like to say that this policy might affect some of the applicants in a negative way, but if you're still a genuine student, if you genuinely want to study, and if you're on a visitor visa or a 485 visa, make sure you apply for your student visa application before 1st of July. We'll talk about the financial requirements and the English requirements. So immigration has also raised the financial capacity requirements and the English requirements for the student visa application as well. So these are the details of the financial requirements basically. So how do you basically calculate the funds for a student visa application? Now, the primary applicant has to have the sufficient amount of money for 1 year of living cost plus 1 year of tuition fee and the travel amount you will have to have in your bank account. So for the primary visa applicant, the living cost for the 12 months is the current cost. Basically it is $29,710. For the secondary applicant, it is $10,394. If there is a child included in the application, for the child it is $4,449, and if the child is school going, then it is $13,502 instead of $4,449. And the travel cost is going to be $2,000 if you're applying as the overseas applicant. It is going to be $1,000 per applicant if you're applying as an onshore student visa. Now again, the tuition fee has to be added in the calculation of the funds as well. So it is basically 1 year of tuition fee you will be showing, but then if you have paid a certain amount of money out of this 1 year tuition fee, then that can be deducted from the calculation of the funds. Okay, so now how would you show the funds? Like basically, what are the acceptable types of evidence? So these are bank statements. Bank loans are acceptable as well. So you just have to, just provide the documentations in support to that. Scholarship letters are acceptable. Financial support from family, which means your family can show, your parents can show, your parents should have sufficient funds, in order to support your education here, and your immediate family members can also support you financially for the student visa purposes. But make sure that these funds are available at some recognized financial institutions in order to supply the similar documentation to the Department of Home Affairs for the student visa applications. Now, these are the changed or the raised English standards for the student visa. So previously, the English score requirement was English score requirement was 5.5, which has now been increased to 6 bands. If you're going for an LE course, which means if you're packaging your course with the LE course, then it is increased from 4.5 to 5 bands. If you're just studying LE course, then there is not change in the English test. And if you're going for a university foundation course, then you're required, then it is set to 5.5 or equivalent bands in the other English acceptable tests. Now, how these policies are going to impact you or the student visa applications or the applicants. Now, every coin has two sides. It has some positives and it has some negative effects as well. So let's talk about positive ones first. So the positive one will actually is that it will end the visa hopping. So which means it will give opportunities to the genuine students. It will support to the genuine students, and the genuine students will get more of the post-study work opportunities, and the student visa program will be more working in a more efficient and integrated way. But there are some challenges which might be faced by some of the students, that because of these raised English standards and the raised financial capacity, some of the genuine students might not be able to apply for the student visas. And then immigration is going to conduct the rigorous scrutiny for your student visa application, which means you'll have to be providing the accurate information or the documentation. Your details have to be up to date. Even a slightest mistake can lead to a visa refusal or a visa cancellation. So you'll have to be very careful about your student visa application. Do not provide misleading and or false information to the Department of Home Affairs. Again, my advice to all is that be genuine. Be genuine means, like, when you're providing your GSR statement, so make sure you're clearly articulating the genuine intention of your study, and you are genuinely articulating that how that particular course is going to benefit you in future, how that course aligns to your future goals or the career goals. Provide the proper documentation to the organization. And if you're unsure about anything, so you just seek expert advice. You go to a migration agent, you go to the education consultant to get the advice from them, so that you provide the correct or up-to-date information to the Department of Home Affairs. And apart from that, it is strongly recommended that we have been, and you guys have been facing so many policy changes nowadays. So it is important for you to be informed about the new policies, so that you do not get any new surprises while you're doing your student visa application. So make sure you seek expert advice if you're unsure about anything. Okay, so to navigate your student visa process effectively and to make most of your education opportunities in Australia, once your student visa has been granted, you are required to meet student visa conditions, and you are required to comply with the student visa condition. Here I would like to give you some examples as well for these particular conditions. So the first one is maintain the enrollment and the level of the study. What does it mean? So let's say if your student visa have been granted and you are studying and you're holding a particular COE, please make sure you're studying your course, you're having course progress, you're attending the classes, you're submitting the assignments on time, you are completely aware about your course details. We have come across few of the cases where the applicants were not aware about their course details, their COEs was cancelled, and suddenly they had to travel to their home country. And when they went to airport, Australian Border Force interrogated those students, and those students were not even aware about their details and the funds access, if they genuinely have it or not. And then this led to the cancellation of the visa, and then it led to the deportation as well. So it is very important that you are fully aware about your course details, you're maintaining your enrollment so that you're not breaching student visa conditions. And it is very important to maintain the academic integrity as well. Again, I would like to give you an example here, that we have seen some of the students, they do not, they like to work overtime, they do not make their assignments by own, and they are outsourcing the assignments. If you're outsourcing the assignment, your institute or your university can cancel your COE on the basis of the academic integrity or the misconduct. Then this COE cancellation can lead to the visa cancellation as well. So again, it is important that if you're submitting your assignments, so make sure you're doing your assignments by yourself, and you're not outsourcing these assignments from any third party. Maintain health insurance. Again, I have already told you that health insurance is one of the most important, factors which contribute to the maintain the student visa. I mean, once it has been granted, so make sure it is not lapsed during the student visa. When you're holding the student visa, you keep your address details updated with the Department of Home Affairs. Work as permitted, so you cannot work more than you're permitted on a student visa, because this can lead to the cancellation as well. Here on the student visa, you can only work 48 hours per fortnight, so this is the limit or work limitation on the student visa until you're exempted. So let's say if you have applied for the masters, if you're studying masters by research, then you will have full work rights on the student visa. And the secondary, if you have added any secondary applicant in the student visa application, the secondary applicant will have full work rights as well. When someone is studying masters by coursework, then the primary applicant will have part-time work rights, but the secondary applicant will have full work rights. So make sure you are aware about your work limitations as well on individual basis on the student visa applications. Do not provide the false and misleading information, because this can lead to the visa refusal or the visa cancellation as well. Once the student visa has been granted, even then immigration can find it out whether you have provided a false, fake or misleading information to the Department of Home Affairs. And we have already talked about this, maintain the course progress, that you make sure that you're studying properly when you're on a student visa, because this is the main criteria or the requirement which you'll be meeting on the student visa. And in the end, I would like to give a few tips from the migration point of view. That the first one is, if you study a STEM qualification and if you're an Indian passport holder, so it's a good news for you that you will get more years of TR. If you study Masters of Research, which will again give you full work rights, and this course will make you eligible for TR as well, even if you're above 35 years of age. Then skilled work experience. Okay, so let's talk about skilled work experience. Now, since there have been so many changes, the age limit for TR has been introduced, and then immigration is not allowing to lodge the visa extensions. So it is important that you prepare your path accordingly. So try to find a skilled job on your student visa. Skilled job means try to find a relevant job in your field, and you work, even if you work part time on the student visa, it may lead to a 407 training visa or employer sponsorship visas like 482, and then it can lead to permanent residency through employer sponsorship visas as well. And in the end, the most important tip or the advice you can consider, if you are on a 485 visa as of now, or a visitor visa, and if you genuinely want to study further in Australia, make sure you lodge your applications before 1st of July. And apart from that, if you have studied an eligible course for TR, which is giving you the TR extension, so make sure you lodge your TR extension before 1st of July as well. Thank you so much, and rest of the topic is going to be covered by my colleague Aayushi. She'll be discussing about GSR criteria in detail. Thank you. Aayushi, please continue.
Thank you so much, Simi. First of all, thank you, Advait, for all the introduction you have given to me and Simi. And secondly, thank you, Simi, for giving all the insights in terms of student visa. I'll be covering a major topic on GSR, because obviously that is majority of the times where students are getting refusals and students are unsure on what to share, what not to share. So let's delve deep and see what are the documents or what are the things that requires to be covered under GSR thing. Simi, are you able to see my screen? So I'm sure everyone will be able to.
Yes, I am.
Okay, all right. Now, just to give you an overview, first of all, from 23rd of March 2024, there is a major change for international students as those who are willing to apply for a student visa, GT has been replaced by genuine student. Now, what is this? GT was a genuine temporary entrant where you have to suffice a condition on by saying that you are a temporary entrant willing to study in Australia and then leaving back to your home country, whereas genuine student requirement has much more into it. So any application that has been lodged before 23rd of March 2024, GTE will be applicable to you or your application. Whereas when it comes to any application that were lodged on 23rd March and onwards, so 23rd March and onwards, GSR will be applicable to you. So make sure you're very well aware of this situation because you have to write the statement or you have to support your statement and the question and answers according to GTE or GSR. Now, before we talk about the differences, let's talk about one major motive that both intends is obviously to be a genuine student. You have to have a genuine intention of being on a student visa. You would be hearing details that Australia just wants to have genuine students to come in and study. Now, majorly, if we consider GT intends to focus on the sincerity of a student to study in Australia temporarily, and it mainly focused on the reasoning of their permanent migration back to their home country. This is what GT was confined about. But when it comes to GST, genuine student test or genuine student requirement, it broadens the scope beyond intentions, exploring the comprehensive evaluation that mainly encompasses the financial stability, language skills, your career options, which will be benefited with your current course. Now, obviously, you have to have these alignment across because this is more sort of a holistic approach where they are going to ask and assess not just on one topic, but the variety of things. And you have to make sure that you satisfy all those topics. Now, what is GSR? Basically, an objective evaluation. Now, whether you as a student indeed have a genuine intention to study in Australia. Now, this is very important because it just doesn't involve your sincerity to study, but it also delves into academic history, financial ability, and again, how well your chosen course is aligning with your future. Now, this is again one such very important aspect of GSR, which you all have to keep in mind. Now, obviously, GSR, they have included the students who, after studying in Australia, get the right skills Australia needs and go ahead applying for PR. Now, this was not acknowledged in GT. Unlike GT, GSR is mainly to check the requirements, to gauge your commitment to study, whether you meet the requirements of meeting the academic history, your language skills, and how well your chosen course again lines up with your objectives. So we are reiterating here the same topic, but it covers a majority of this part. So any course that you undertake, you must adhere to taking that course, your reasoning for why you are choosing this course and how it is aligning to your career or how it is going to benefit your career. Now, obviously, with the GT, you know there was a 300-word statement that was required by the department. No matter how many words we add, we forget, but immigration only asked for a 300-word statement. Now, if we consider GSR got replaced with question answers format, and they have a max word limit of 150 words for each question and answer. So you have to make sure that you are addressing those question and answers. So if you consider a bigger approach, obviously this gives you more words to give your answers within the confined questions. So significant change, obviously it's only 300, whereas now we have more than 150 word for answering each specific questions. Now, let's delve into, there are major 5 set of questions that are incorporated within the application. Now, if you consider, again, we've already covered that has major of 1,000 characters or approximately 150 words. You must stay within a word limit. Now, obviously, there is no other way because you can't exceed your word limit. So your answers has to suffice only a 150 word limit questions. Now, one thing is you must respond to all the questions given. Now, you can't say that please find the attached GSR statement, and then you upload the statement at the back of the application. No, because that's not what immigration wants. That's not what department wants. And that's not why they have incorporated these questions within the part of the application. So obviously they want you to answer those questions. So if you can say in a nutshell that this is more sort of like an interview, but just going to be on a verbal way where you have to write the question answers and you have to answer what they're asking for. So don't write. And this is again one such advice that I'll be giving you to all, that please don't mention please find the attached statement. Please find the attached GSR. No, you must answer the questions that are given in there. Now, we'll actually go through each question and understand what they're asking and why they're asking and how would you support those with each claim. So you will have a better understanding. Let's just go with the first question that we have. Now, obviously, the first question is you have to provide the details on your current circumstances. So what do you do here? So you must comment here and provide the evidence of your family, social, cultural, religious, financial ties to your home country. But one thing with GSR is you must have documentary evidence for each and everything that you say in the answers. So it is not just merely saying that you are mentioning the words here, you are mentioning the answers here. You must provide an evidentiary document to support your claims. And it must clearly demonstrate your significant incentives. Either you return back to your home country or you return back to any country. Because again, with GSR, you are not confined to go back to only your home country. You have broadened your prospects here, and you can even study in Australia if it has got better prospects, or any other country. You don't have to suffice here that you are going to go back. But obviously, you have to sufficiently give advices on what are the current circumstances, what are your ties with your family back home, ties with your global community, with your current employment, if you had any, what were your economic circumstances. Now, obviously, here they are reiterating on the financial situation for the student. Now, if you consider, obviously, studying in Australia is an expensive endeavor, be it any other country, any foreign country. If you go abroad, obviously, it's not an easy thing. So Australian authority, they really want to make sure that student has enough financial resources and living expenses during their stay and while they are studying in Australia. Now, this is where people are not giving sufficient documents. You have to make sure that all sort of supportive documents are being added. Now, let's talk about what we can add here. So family details, mainly this includes your member of family, their income sources, what are the responsibilities that each one of them have, a brief description on family's liquid and movable, immovable assets. So you can add all those details here. If the applicant is working or has been involved in any business, then also add the details that are you can add the organization name, your job role, your job duties, your position, probably salary, what was the work that you were dealing with, size of the company, nature of the business, and probably last 1 year's tax returns is mainly. So all these sort of documents can be supported in this question. Also, you must address any gaps that you have in academic and in educational or employment section. Now, this is again one such either if you have any gaps in your tenure of your academic history or study history or working history, you must provide an explanation of that gap and also provide the sufficient document to support that gap. We'll jump on to the second question, which mainly is course and specific education providers. Now, they are being very specific here. So how would you answer this? Now, okay, so you must show that you have a very good understanding of Australia and the chosen provider. Now, here you see that in Australia, we have multiple education providers. Then why only this particular provider? Why only this course? Reason for the intended course and your studying and living in Australia. Now, you can talk about the course structure, any specific units that are very particular, that are of very particular interest, and that is going to benefit you in the future. It doesn't have to be just the entire course. For example, diploma of marketing or diploma of social media managing. Now, this is one such very peculiar course. So you can talk about particular units or why this unit is going to be very beneficial in your future alignment. Reasons for not doing a similar course in your home country. Now, obviously, this scrutinizes the academic history of a student. It doesn't only include the grades, the qualifications that you have, but also any relevance of the chosen course of their previous study. Now, this should be aligning well with their academic background. So if we break this whole thing into simple questions and then just answer this question accordingly. So we'll just ask questions to ourselves and then we'll figure it out what answers we can give here. Now, let's say which countries and providers did you compare? So this shows the students' research on this and why you decided to study in Australia. Why this particular college? Why have you chosen to study this course? Like, have you researched about an alternate course? This shows your research. What is your understanding of the programs and how will this program benefit you? Now, one more major important thing is the campus and the location. Now, a lot of the times, I think Simi would also agree here, and she's also mentioned in her slides that they've been giving interview calls here. Now, one simple mere question that immigration has been asking students is, what is your location and how far is the campus from your location? Now, many a times people are not aware of their current status on their location or how they're going to commute to the university or where the provider is. Now, let's say if you, for example, if the university is in Bandura, but you live in Berwick and you don't know how you're going to commute, probably you're not a genuine student because you don't have that amount of research done to find out where your location is, what is the cost, what is the accommodation, what is the type of commute that you're going to have, and how are you going to justify living this far from the university. So you must be very well aware of all such scenarios. Now, let's say what documents we can attach here. Probably we can attach some research notes, the acceptance letter from a university, the offer letter. Probably you would have some email communication back and forth ongoing with an academic coordinator. You can add all those as part of your application. Obviously, local course limitations, if you have any, your academic transcripts and certificates that shows that whatever courses you've completed previously, letters of recommendation from your current teachers or your employers or your past teachers. You can have those documents as supportive documents. Any professional certificates that you have done to support this particular course. For example, if you have done MS Office in detail and got the certificate for that, but that is going to help you out in your IT background, you can support those claims with the documentary proof here. Especially working with the working experience. If you've got any working experience relevant to what you're studying, you must attach these documents. Now, I know there are a few questions already mentioned in the comment box. So what will we do is we'll just finish off with the slides quickly, and then we'll just go through the question answers. So Simi and I can answer those questions. Now, again, the fourth question here is benefit of this course. How this course is going to benefit. What is the purpose of taking this course and how this is going to be relevant to your future employment. Now you have to show that this course is in demand in your home country or probably any other country. For example, nursing is very popular in Australia. So you can show, you can demonstrate that nursing has become one of the very popular, there are skills in demand. And obviously there is a much better, brighter future. If I study this course, you can even say that you want to live in Australia for that, but showing that you have strong economic circumstances back home. So similarly, any course that you take, you have to demonstrate what is the demand for that particular course and how this is going to help you in future. Obviously, you have to have a strong career plan and how this course is going to achieve your goals, making and reaching your career. Now, one thing I'll suggest is don't waste your words in fancy descriptions, because obviously you have a limited word mentioned in the answer box. So you only have to stick and adhere to 150 words. Now you can't go over it. Obviously we'll be utilizing those words because these are not. So be very, very, very factual and respond to the given question with the given answers. Like just address direct to the point. Don't beat around the bush. Don't give extra information on top end, bottom end, because that's what immigration wants for. Immigration knows, because obviously you'll be supporting all the documents with that. So you don't have to start the whole saga, the whole history on what happened, how it happened and all. They majorly want you to focus on giving the questions and answers directly to what they've asked for. So this is just simple. That says that how this is going to benefit your career. Better job outcomes, probably. You'll have better pay. But how this is going to help you out, then you have to understand that, okay, is this course consistent to what your level of education was? Is this going to assist you in finding the employment? Probably yes. Then you answer these questions. So break down the question into simple mere questions, and that will actually help you out more further to delve into the details and give the exact answers on what you are looking for. Obviously, relevancy is one such important factor. So you must know that any course that you've undertaken, you show a relevancy to your past or present or your future employment. Now, what sort of documents you can attach in these questions? Now, we can attach some market reports, some employment letters. We can go on, let's say if we talk about Australia, we can go on seek.com, find out the particular position postings. For example, if I'm looking for a biotechnologist, I'll be looking for biotechnologist career prospects, and then I'll look into Job Skills Australia, find out what is the scarcity of that particular course, how this course is going to benefit, why there is a demand, what is the salary expected level, what are the growth statistics and industry analysis. So all these sort of details you must add as a supportive document and for any claim that you take. Now, there is this question for relevant details. Now, a lot of the times we've seen and we've come across that this section is left blank. I don't understand why, because this is again your opportunity to provide further information to support your application. So let's say you should actually concentrate on demonstrating how you are as a genuine student and show how much your intended course and its impact to your future course. Now, again, department considers this major thing when it comes to these questions. So here, this is like a miscellaneous part of the department where you have major refusals. Even after answering all the questions that you've mentioned below, this is again one particular section that they consider other things. Now, what will be the other things as? I'll break it down for you. Now, the specified things like multiple course loads. Is the course load taken by the student realistic or impossible? Consideration of your previous study history, including engagement with the course, logical course progression, history of starting but not completing courses. Here's where they want visa or course hopping to end, because obviously they are going to see that there is a history of course starting but not completing. Probably if any study gaps that are there in the academic career, changing or deferring courses, changing of education providers. So again, this is much elaborated version of what it is not mentioned on the website. So you have to make sure that department does considers these things when it comes to relevant sections. So make sure you add as much details as possible in this particular question. Again, as I said, this is more sort of a miscellaneous part where immigration can use to give refusals. So any sort of scenarios that are not covered in your previous questions, please make sure you answer here, because failing to give any such answers here or mentioning down or giving a clarity on this question or this particular reason can lead to visa refusal. You can also add information like if you have immigration history for Australia or any other country, if you have your family or friends living in Australia, again, this is going to be considered as a good part. So probably immigration is going to support if you have your brother, sister, cousin living in Australia, so they know that you already have someone who's been helping you out, who's already gone through the study pathway. So this is going to be very helpful for you too. So you can add those details into this section. Now, what sort of documents you can add here? You can add your visa records, your travel history if you have. For example, the travel history doesn't have to be the pages and pages of tickets, but you can add here passport pages, which shows the entry and the exit stamps. For example, if you have a relative or your brother living here or a sister living here, you can add their details, how you're related to those people, your visa status, their visa status basically, and probably a proof of relationship. So birth certificates if you have your brother, sister, cousin, any sort of documentary proof. So all these sections are important. So you have to be very specific, detailed. So detailed history on your study or any previous study that you've undertaken. So this is again one such question. The last one, now this question is mainly for onshore students. This is for those students who are in Australia. Now this basically asks you to jot down whatever previous studies you have taken in Australia, including all the completed course or the not completed course as well, because obviously a department would know whether you have started one course but not able to complete those course in time. So whether you are changing the provider, whether you've changed the course at any time, this must be explained in this question. Now, department also assesses where you're complying with your visa conditions while you are studying in Australia. Now, this is again one such major and a tricky area. Now, for example, complying the visa condition is again one important factor, which Simi already explained that a lot of visa refusals are happening because of this. So you have to understand, and one such condition is 8202 condition. Now, if you see that condition, it basically says that you are here on an EQF level, for example, 5, 6, 7, whatever you are, you must maintain that particular EQF level. You're not supposed to downgrade from that EQF level. Now, a lot of the times we have seen that students come here on a higher EQF level, but they don't end up studying that particular EQF level and they downgrade their studies. And for example, from higher ed, they go to a vocational sector course. Now, this is not considered complying with your visa condition. This is basically a breach of your visa condition. So you have to be very careful and address this thing here that you have been complying to all visa conditions while you were studying. even if you don't, immigration is going to find out. So because this is more sort of being transparent here, because immigration knows about your academic history. As you were in Australia, you were studying in Australia. So be very careful when addressing this thing here, that you have to make sure that you mention why you've changed the providers, why you have changed the courses. Also ask and explain why department also assesses that you were not complying with the visa conditions or that you were complying with the visa conditions. So this is again one such major thing. Even not attending your exams, even not attending your classes, like all these sort of issues are considered as being not a genuine student, because you must have a valid reason that you had a major exam during this time, but somehow due to medical reasons you were not able to attend this exam. So you must explain everything in quite a detail. Now, these are the 5 questions that are incorporated in the visa application, but there is one such question which is before all these questions, which is employment section. Now, here, a lot of the times we have seen that people don't fill up these questions and they say that this is going to be attached as part of the document, but you don't attach because you only attach a statement at the back of the document attached box. So let's address this one here. Now here you must write your response in the text provided, obviously maintaining the character limits, because again, you're confined to 150 words here. Now be specific of a type of employment that your applicant will seek. Now, for example, if I'm studying accounting, I'll write that I'm looking for a job as an accountant. Okay, if I'm system analyst, if I'm a medical practitioner, if I am biotechnologist, I'll be writing a particular. So be very specific in terms of understanding the profile here. If someone's doing MBA, you understand what are the majors that they've taken, whether it is HR, whether it is marketing. So address the qualification and the occupation accordingly. So they know that this is what you're exactly talking about. You know what you've researched for, and you exactly know what course you're talking about. Look for jobs in Australia. For example, I've even given a previous example that I was a software developer and I've looked on Seek, will give me an average indication of my expected salary. I'll probably dig down on government data on the average income for that particular option that is required and which is in demand. Now, again, any claims made in the application must, I'm just reiterating here and I'm putting pressure just to clarify that this must be supported with the documentary evidence. Now, it's not just it's not just the mere talks that you'll be giving to the department with the huge statements. They don't want saga, they don't want stories. They really want you to focus on what it is given. They want you to give the apt information with the documentary evidence. Now, for example, I've just given a brief slide. You can see in the slide itself that it says, I intend to pursue employment as a software developer. This occupation is high sought after the country, in my country, offering competitive salaries. The assertion is supported by what document is mentioned here. Please refer to the document title, blah, blah, blah. You can look into this and you can see how this is going to help you out in this. Now, the supporting documents, again, just to give you everything in nutshell, that documentation are very, very, very important to support your claims, because with the new GSR requirements, any claims, any statements that you use must be supported with the documents. Now, again, what sort of documents you can add? I'm just going to give you the whole details again, quickly to run through. So you have these ready reckoners available. So for example, previous study overseas, or any other country that you've done, or previous studies in Australia, your current employment, your circumstances in your home country, which includes your family ties, your economic circumstances, or your political situation of your country. Potential situation in Australia, which includes your living and study arrangements, why this course has given you value to your future. Your academic history documents, for example, your transcripts, your partial completion letters, your full completion letters, your history of study records, like everything, any supporting document that you can get from the department, from the education provider is going to support your application. Now, if you're employed, obviously with the current employer name, period of employment, position, health, duties, tax return documents since past 1 year before you apply for the visa. When it comes to economic circumstances back in your home country, again, the documents that shows your employments, your business activities, and all these documents has to be dated back 12 months. So it's not just any recent documents that you show as part of the process is going to suffice the condition unless it is verifiable and there is a genuine reason or genuine reasoning given to that particular document. You also can give some future employment offers. Now, this has been reason for many successful visa applications where students have been qualified, or they've been successful in getting the future employment letters from the providers, from the employers who can give the future employment to the students. Now, obviously, this is going to help out because obviously this shows that you have a clear pathway, you know where to go, you know what is the next job available for you, and probably you already have a secured offer. Doesn't matter, it is only an offer, but you still can submit as part of your application. This is an exhaustive process, I understand, but it ensures that only the most qualified and only the genuine students make it through. Now, this is basically the whole motive of Immigration Department and the Department of Home Affairs, that applicant must have strong academic purpose, financial stability, and genuine intent to study in Australia. Now, there are three major points that department assesses your application. And this is where you have to be very careful, because what are the three major concerns? Now, this information you can also find out on the Department of Home Affairs website, where they have mentioned that they are going to assess on three major criteria, which is again applicant circumstances, which majority we have covered on top questions, where what are your current circumstances, level of knowledge for the purposed course and everything. If the course is relevant to your past or future employment, expected salary, other benefits, etc. Now, if you consider applicants' immigration history is the second point that they're going to consider. Obviously, now I recently came to know, now I'm not sure, this is not 100% viable source, but I just read it somewhere that countries do exchange migration information. So it's not that if you have a visa refusal from any other country such as USA or Canada, probably Australia won't be able to find out. They still may find out whether you may have. So there's no point in hiding the information from the department. You must give out the full clarity on what your immigration history has been, the travel history has been. Previous visa applications, if you have made to Australia, your visa refusals, cancellations, because immigration history has been one of the major factors that department will be considering apart from applicant circumstances. And the third one is complying with your visa conditions. Again, we are circling back to the same thing, that you must maintain your visa conditions. So if you had a previous visa, you held 485, you held student visa, or 408 or any other visa, you must be complying with your conditions. You must be working within the required hours, because Simi has just given you an example where two students got their visa cancelled and they were deported back to their home country. Why? Because they were just working on extra hours. So you have to make sure that students must adhere to working hours of 48 hours a fortnight. Now, just lastly, to conclude, how would you strengthen your student visa application? Now, one ground rule that I'll be saying is immigration officers are pretty much like humans like you and me. They would have thousands of visa applications that they're going to assess on daily basis. They have significant time pressure. They have good days, they have bad days, probably they have high work volume, they're in high stress, they have to look into so much of documentation, they have to process the visa application, it has to be in the righteous way. We don't know. So it's always good to give a ready application where immigration is expecting that, okay, everything is listed down in given the points, given the documents, they know pretty much, and there are high chances for you to get the visa granted. Now, one such minor thing that people have been mistakenly doing is not labeling the documents correctly. Now, if you say in the question that I have this potential circumstances, blah, 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 in my home country, but the document just says document 1 or document 2 or home country, it doesn't make sense. You must label those documents accordingly. So every document should have very apt name, like logically labeled documents should be attached with the visa applications. Rest, I have discussed everything. So again, I'm not giving you the same information again and again, but yeah, majorly you have to understand that it's the GSR has already been implemented so far. We are in June and this was implemented back in March. It has been seamlessly added into the visa application procedures. So it simplifies the process, but makes it more cohesive for the applicants. Now, it's sort of building trust and transparency between the immigrant and the department and the visa system. So again, this is you being very transparent that your intentions are here to come here, study. They are your sole major intentions at this point of time. Future, you don't know, but obviously you have to align everything to what you're studying. So you being transparent, immigration being transparent is what they're asking for. So a more sort of a holistic approach that clearly says that give all sort of information that you are concealing and will give the visa. So basically just summing up here.
I would like to thank Simplepreet and Aayushi for taking out time for us today. and sharing all the information that they had. Thank you so much.
Thank you
Thank you so much, everyone.